Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I am Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today?
So happy to be back after a 2 or 3 week break there.
Yeah, long break. I apologize for that, but
you don't have to apologize. You were on vacation. Well, you were. It was a business and fun vacation.
It was
right?
a baseball tournament, if that's considered business.
That's business.
And okay,
business.
So we had real business plus, a little vacation action at the same time. I've made a decision though. I like doing a little traveling. I like having the kids get out for one tournament a year. Maybe next year we don't do like a going to a beach or something. Maybe next year we do a couple like just short weekends.
Sure.
In like Indy or Louisville or something like that. Mm-hmm. However, 1,000% sure that they will not be the week before tryouts. That'll never happen. We will always come back and have one more week of baseball at least, because things do get a little awkward.
So let me ask you, these baseball tryouts, I've asked you a couple times and you've explained it to me, and I'm not smart enough to comprehend. Your season just ended and you had tryouts right away. Is this for fall ball or is this for next?
This is for
spring?
next year's team. Now, this starts now, right? So fall ball is included in that, right? So we'll start this new team at fall ball.
Okay. So that's why you have to have.
Yep. So we'll start that at fall ball, and not everybody plays fall ball. Not all of them do. But we'll start it at fall ball. We will from there. We will have probably October, November, December, a 3-month break. And we will, in January, we'll start indoor practice.
Okay. I got you.
As much as I hate sports, I think sports, these all year round sports are so ridiculous.
I hate sports too.
No, I love, on our sports podcast that we're currently in the middle. As much as I hate that these sports are becoming year round, like when I have the opportunity to make our baseball team play year round, dude, I'm 100% in. But that's the love, right? That's the difference between each individual staff. The difference is when we are in the middle of a different season, I make sure everybody knows it's basketball season. Everything that happens right now is optional. It's basketball season. Enjoy basketball first.
Do you have kids, even though you have optional baseball stuff? Do you have kids that like baseball more, so they'll skip basketball stuff to do the optional baseball stuff?
I'm not a fan of that. So I if they've got a basketball game or practice and it's basketball season, then no, I expect you are expected to be at basketball, not at baseball.
Okay.
I have some kids 100% that would, if I didn't say no, it's basketball season. You got basketball, go play basketball. Now, if you don't tell me and you skip something, I don't care.
Sure.
I mean, I had a bunch of kids yesterday skip football to go to baseball tryout.
Fall practices are starting. Yeah,
it is what it is. Football practices are starting. That's what I'm talking about. But I'm sure they say the same things about baseball and what I do. I'm sure it's the same way.
Same for me. Mm-hmm. We have kids that play year-round soccer.
Dude, soccer's a lot of stuff. Soccer's the worst though, because soccer on these, what do they call them? Prime clubs or premier clubs on these things, they like if you make those teams, it is soccer season all year round. They expect you to be playing something. Like if it's baseball season and you have a baseball game or a soccer tournament, you are expected to be at soccer, not at baseball.
Yeah.
And I think that's completely wrong.
I agree. And I think where I coach, you're expected. I think everybody knows you're expected during basketball season. You're supposed to be at basketball and so on. During volleyball season, you're supposed to be miss basketball off-season stuff for volleyball. But we do have kids that play year-round soccer and that will miss parts of practices and things like that to go play whatever it is, club soccer.
It's just insane to me. Like, soccer's intense, dude. These soccer people are crazy. And
you're supposed to do the play multiple sports. It's the
I want you to. You should 100%.
Sure.
I encourage 3-sport athletes. You should play a sport. You should go what do they have? They've got winter, right? They've got the winter, which is basketball. They've got fall, which is soccer / football season. They've got spring, which is baseball / lacrosse season. And then there's summer where it's supposed to be the kids' summer, right? Mm-hmm. So that you should play 3 sports. I feel like that's 100%. You should go out and play 3 sports.
You should play as many sports as you want to.
I'm not have to play. No, 100%. My son won't play 3 sports this year. He doesn't want to play football or soccer. I'm not going to force him to play football or soccer if he doesn't want to. I mean, he's going to be doing something.
Dad's like, yes,
100%. Mom might have had a little, yeah. I mean, she loves soccer. She played soccer in high school, so she kind of likes. So there's that. But mine is like hers is more of we get a little break.
Sure.
Get a little break. All of the girls love soccer and the girls will be playing soccer. So
okay.
We'll have to drag Parker to the soccer games because his poor sisters get drug all around the city, east, west, north, south. It don't matter where for all of his stuff.
The other thing, I was going to say I thought you were going to say for soccer.
No, for baseball, dude. We play baseball all over the place.
Yeah. I feel like that's soccer though. I feel like soccer's everywhere. I don't know if in your experience.
Especially it seems like these big soccer complexes are all like Batavia, like almost an hour away from us, 45 minutes. Yeah, 35, 45 minutes away, no matter where you go. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, play multiple sports. Also, don't miss basketball workouts even in the off season.
Look, see, that's the individual coaching is right. Like, hey, I'm not gonna say nothing if you're gonna miss basketball. So the Parker's basketball coach, his kids are on my baseball team. So we'll have an indoor practice on a Sunday, and we might have 2 basketball games on a Sunday. And I'm like, look, bro, I got to be there. So Parker's, when this game's over, we're busting butt and we're going to baseball practice. And couple times I probably should have canceled practice because those kids were in no shape to be playing 2 basketball games and then an hour and a half of baseball afterwards.
Yeah, that's tough.
But when I get into that cage in the wintertime, when you get into that cage and it just feels different.
The off-season workouts are maybe my favorite part
100%
of coaching.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's more individualized.
Mm-hmm.
That's
where I think the strongest part of coaching for me personally, I think I do better with individual instruction. And that's the only time you get to do it. During the season, you have no time in basketball, at least you have no time for individual instruction.
Mm-hmm.
It's all team practice.
I mean, unless there's somebody staying afterwards or calling you
right.
up and wanting to come in early to work on something specific, but
and I love that. And we had some girls as a matter of fact, some of the girls that miss parts of practices or full practices for soccer would get there with a half hour left in the practice and then stay another half hour after to get some extra shooting and stuff like that. And I definitely always appreciate it.
That's kids that want to work, man. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
Yeah.
I find myself, I don't leave, like if practice is from 6 to 8, you might as well forget. I'm not. There's
You're
no
there
chance.
6 to 10.
I'll be there
5 to 10.
Minimum 5:30 to 9. Minimum.
Yeah.
It's just how. Today I didn't get out of there till 8:45, and it was just tryouts. And that brings me to my next question. We're going to turn this into we got some baseball and we've got some all-star game. We've got some stuff to talk about on the podcast that are worldwide, sports wide. Topics. However, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just to interrupt you. I before we change directions.
Oh, we're not changing directions, but that's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, we're sticking with the coaching. I'm sticking with coaching
because I want to hear how the trip went, how your team did, how the rest of the vacation was.
I'll tell you what. While we do that, let's crack open the newest Reese's. I mean, we've been gone way too long without opening up our newest Reese's. We've done the outrageous. Have we done the nut? We haven't done the nut.
We haven't done the nut rages. As a matter of fact, I made the full list today.
Oh, you did? Nice.
We did the snack cake. We did the outrageous. We did the sticks. We did the big cup with potato chips. We did the fast break. We did the classic peanut butter cup. We did the big cup with pretzel. We did the peanut butter lovers cup.
Oh, the peanut butter lovers cup. That was not as good as I thought it was going to be.
I still liked it. I think I kind of agree with you.
It was good, but not what I thought. I was really expecting big things from the extra peanut butter.
Don't try to look through the Kroger bag.
I'm not.
and see
Eyes
what-
are closed. Eyes are closed. Eyes are
No, I'm
closed.
just kidding. This week, Chris, Reese's has teamed up with Jason Williams,
What?
the white chocolate.
White chocolate, baby. Let's go. Oh, man. I just sounded like all my little kids. You can tell I've been around a bunch of little
Let's
kids.
go.
Let's go.
I think I really, really, really hate that, but I, but I kind of get it too at the same time. Like it's just like when your adrenaline's going or whatever,
It's
you do
just
something.
it's just the pump up noise, man. Man, I totally
Boy, initially the first thing to see a bright white thing when you open a Reese's package is so strange.
Can I?
Especially against the black, the cellophane. It's not cellophane, but whatever this paper is.
Yeah.
Paper
The
wrapper.
wax paper.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, these are I personally buy these a lot.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure. I know you're not a huge fan of peanut butter, but you like Reese's peanut butter.
Totally
but
different. Yeah.
yeah, but I wasn't sure about. Some people hate white
I
chocolate.
don't understand that. It tastes exactly the same to me.
Oh, it doesn't taste the same to me, but I don't. But it's delicious still.
I mean, whatever I gave a regular Reese's, the classic, 0.1 below. That's it.
Oh, you had to have given it. Did you give that a 10?
It was probably like a 9.8 or something. Because I gave the outrageous bar 10, and there's nothing that gets better. The outrageous bar is the greatest invention Reese's ever had.
The outrageous bar.
With
Your favorite.
with the Reese's pieces inside of the candy bar. My all time. That is.
Oh, did that have Reese's pieces in it?
Mhm.
Okay.
That's the outrageous.
Okay.
The nutrageous has the nuts in it.
Right.
Outrageous has peanut. Anyway, so that's mine. I'm going with a 9.7.
9.7.
And while we talk about, while you think about it, and we make awkward eating noises, get the white chocolate classic cup Reese's because it's phenomenal. So the tournament was good. I made a coaching error that ruined the entire baseball side of the trip. I made a coaching error.
Sparky Anderson made coaching errors, buddy. Red Auerbach, John Wooden,
100%.
Greg Popovich, Phil Jackson.
But this ruined the last 4 games we played.
So okay, what was it? Let me guess. You pitched somebody that you were going to need later in games that you weren't.
There's
allowed
no
to
pitch count. There's no
Okay.
pitch count. I can pitch kids as long as I want. I never would do that personally. I have my own limits that are the same as what the National Federation high school style, whatever all that stuff is.
Oh, you new coaches in your pitch count. I'll tell you what, Nolan Ryan threw 297 pitch. I'm just kidding.
You're right. And people work out and get stronger and do things differently, which is why you have more injuries.
You coach 9-year-olds. Very good for.
And they're 9 years old. And I know way too many kids that couldn't throw a ball in high school because they pitched every day. So,
There you go. By the way, I wrote 9.6. I'm going to match your 9.7. I mean, these are,
bumming it up.
there can't be much better than it. It doesn't get much better than
No.
It's almost a 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never give anything a 10, but 9.7s for both of us on that.
So we're in Maryland, and you have 3 pool games. We're in Ocean City, Maryland. You have 3 pool games. And then you have you're guaranteed 2 bracket games, right?
So pool games, 9-ball, 8-ball. And, no,
Yeah.
okay.
So games to find out where you're going to be seated in the tournament. Well, there were 7 teams in the tournament. One team got randomly selected to have a 4th game. It will be an exhibition game for you, but it'll count for the other team.
Oh,
It's kind of weird, right?
Okay.
At
because
first,
of an odd number of teams.
I guess. So, yeah. So at first I was like, no, I don't. That's not fair to everybody else. Because if I go and throw a bunch of kids that don't usually throw for me, and, because I got to throw extra innings now, I have to throw more kids than I normally do. That's not, I'm running out of arms. You're killing me. Plus, I'm basically giving up a game and another team is going to get a win without having to really try. So I was a little irritated. And then some people were like, but at the same time, the reason we chose to go to Ocean City is because you're guaranteed 5 games. 3 pool games and 2 bracket games guaranteed. Most you could play is 7. So I looked at all the teams we were playing. I pulled up there. I don't know if you guys ever, if you use Game Changer or heard of Game Changer for anything, but you can pull up all these things and see who they played. And one of them played another team 3 times that's in the same tournament, and they beat them 2 out of 3 times. I was like, well, that team looks like I know they're at least decent enough to win some games. I'll make that my exhibition game. We'll go out there, throw some kids that never really threw before, or that maybe have one kid never threw at all. One kid only threw a couple innings. Just kind of let's get a chance for some kids to go out there. So it was the third of 4 games. We played 2 games on Wednesday, and then we played 2 games on Thursday. So the first game on Thursday is the one I chose for the exhibition. We go out there. The first pitcher gets beat up I don't know. I think he might have got one out. Maybe he did. Threw to about 6 or 7 kids. And it was a struggle. And he came off crying and upset. Threw one of my normal pitchers in there, gets out of the inning. Second inning, I throw another kid that hasn't pitched much. He gets an out and actually throws some strikes, and it was surprising how well he did. He also gave up quite a few runs and walked some guys too. Went to pull him out after an out, and he was visibly upset and throwing things, and it becomes bad. Throw a kid in there, gets out of it. I throw one more kid, and that's a halfway decent inning. We get beaten 3 innings. This totally dismantled my team because I had to play another game that meant something after that. And I let them all know this game means nothing. It's okay. Well, this is an opportunity for you to get to pitch in a World Series, right? Because it's called the Youth World Series. Like, you get to pitch in a World Series, dude. It doesn't matter if you do good or bad. It doesn't matter. Oh, I totally underestimated the mindset of a 9-year-old. So we proceeded to lose the next game to a team we should have beat. And we still got into the upper bracket. There's only 4 teams in the upper bracket. We lost the first game to a very good team that ended up winning it all. And the second game, we played a game that, it was the third place game to see who comes in third place. And we got down a bunch early. We came back and tied it and lost in the last inning. And we definitely struggled because of my coaching decision to use the third game as the exhibition. From now on, if I ever get that situation again, 100% last pool play game is my exhibition game. I don't care about it. Let's just get it over with. Kids probably don't want, they're done by then anyway. Let's get out of here. Go do something.
But you still have
still got 2 bracket games no matter what. And I'm not throwing a bunch of my good pitchers a bunch of innings in that game to try to win it. That doesn't matter.
No.
I think it's unfair that they made us do that. They should have found a way to make it happen.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's hard. Yeah. 9 years old, failure is tragic. It
really is. It's the hardest thing to coach out of these kids. 100%. That is the hardest thing to coach out of these kids.
Yeah, man, that's tough. Yeah. You're forced to throw kids that you don't normally throw because
I got to eat up innings somewhere.
Right. Yeah, man, that's tough. That's tough. I would like to know for sure if that's the reason, if it's just an odd number of teams, if that's why.
The way they made it sound like it was because they had 7 teams, one team was going to have to play an extra game in order for everybody to play 3 pool games and not play each other.
Okay.
Which does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
I feel like I could work that out. I feel like I could figure out a way to work that out, but apparently it's not doable. So anyway, yeah, other than that, outside of the fact that tryouts were the next week, and that's always an awkward time for me because I love all these kids and I want to put the best team out there, but I also want to develop the kids that I have, right? Like, you pick these kids for a reason, you want to develop them. So, you've got a core and you want to build the team, but you also don't want to lose some of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've got kids at the bottom that you're like, I feel like they're close and I'm getting to them and they're getting better. I see them getting better, but they're just not there. And then something comes to tryouts and you're like, whoa, bro, if I could pick this up, man, that's a horse right there, man. He could become one of my top 3 players.
Mm-hmm.
and replace that on the bottom side. And it's very difficult. It's going to be a very difficult. So that was my question for you. This is the most difficult week of my year
because you
tryouts and making cuts and calling people that I like, families that are awesome, to even families that weren't on my team, just kids I know. That's a difficult call for me.
Let me ask you this, because when I walked in your house today to come here to do this, you were making a call to let a kid know that he made the team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was a joyous call for you. It was
so great,
a joyous
man.
call for them. I heard the kid, yeah, or whatever he did,
Yep.
Very cool. Probably one of your favorite parts.
It is
about it.
Oh, I love that part. The problem is it's overshadowed because I have to do that first to make sure these kids take the offer for the team before I start calling the kids to get cut.
That's what was going to be my next question is, can you do all the hardest part first so that you get to finish on the
No, because a lot of these teams are trying, a lot of these kids are, it's not like high school where it's like, all right, I go to Oak Hills, I'm trying out for the basketball team. That's the team that I'm trying out for. If you're there, it's because you want to play for them. These kids are trying out for multiple teams. So like really good ones will go to 3-4 tryouts. If they don't like the team they're on, if they like the team they're on, they probably already got offered from that team. But if they're thinking about making a move, then they might go to 3 or 4 different tryouts and try to find somewhere else that they might fit in. Right. So you got to deal with that. I had a kid who's his dad straight up told me, he's like, listen, he's already got an offer from somebody else, but he'd like to play for you guys. I've seen you coach before. I enjoy, I think you'd fit in, blah, blah, blah. And the kid was good. But 2 things. That means I have to get rid of somebody that I've been working really hard with and who's maybe just a hair worse than him. Not really, but I mean, still good, but maybe that kid becomes in the middle of my pack still. Okay. I would rather keep somebody. If you're pretty close to even, I'm going to keep what I've already had.
Okay.
Right? Am I wrong about that? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm sure it depends on the kid and their
families and attitudes and a lot of stuff going to that. Yeah, so anyway, he got an offer and I called him right away today because he needed to tell the other team if he was going to take the offer or not. So I immediately told him, hey, I want to let you know Travis just got over. I'm not going to go with him. I'm happy he's got somewhere else to go because he's a good kid and he's a good player. Mm-hmm. So they suck. And that was an easy one because I knew he already had a team, but there's a couple of them that it's going to be as tough as it gets, buddy.
That is tough. That's one of my least favorite parts too, is having to now.
I was going to say, how many cuts did you guys make for the freshman team this past year?
It was really kind of zero. It was really kind of zero. A couple things worked out for me. And I got really lucky because there was a girl that was definitely good enough to make the team, and she did make the team. And she quit, practices started and she couldn't get there on time. She couldn't let me know when she wasn't going to get there on time. She had trouble, she wasn't going to be able to make, Saturdays or something because I couldn't, her parents didn't want to give her a ride. She didn't have any support to get there.
That's tough.
And that kind of stuff.
That's tough.
So she was having trouble right away. And I was like, hey, and I could tell she wasn't all the way invested. Mm-hmm. She seemed like a kid that that was, sometimes it was important to her, but for the most part, she was kind of like, I'm kind of living life by the seat of my pants. So it's just whatever happens. So I'm not going to work my butt off to make sure I'm doing all the right stuff all the time. So I talked to her before, as a matter of fact, our picture day early in the year, before we played any games or anything, picture day, a couple weeks into practice, that day, took our picture. The day before, I think she missed practice or something, had no idea where she was. It was like the 3rd or 4th time it happened. Got her pictures taken. Everybody gets their hair and makeup all nice and pretty. I mean, I do. They do whatever they want, but then so we get our hair and makeup done, and then get the things done, and then we go have practice right after that. So bring your clothes. You gotta bring extra clothes. Don't wear your uniform. Specifically, Don't wear your uniform to practice. Wear your uniform for pictures. Get a change of clothes and to practice. She didn't bring extra clothes. She's going to wear, as a matter of fact, she wore, right after we gave out the uniforms, she wore the shorts like the next 3 days or something like that. And I'm like, we specifically said, don't wear those uniforms. So anyway, after pictures, we go in right before practice starts. I pull her aside. I'm like, you don't seem like you're really into this. Are you into it? Are you locked in? Are you invested? Can you get here on time? Can you get here for practices? Are you going to be able to make it every day? Are you going to have rides? I think she was coming from kind of far away too. I don't know the whole situation, but so, and I found out some stuff about, the family part was pretty tough on her. Very unfortunate, but she wasn't going to be able to do the things she needed to do to be part of the high school basketball team. I said,
Right.
What do you think? Are you going to be able to make this work? I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So she took off. That was the last time we saw her. And
Wow.
So we got
she's on team picture.
She's on the team picture, and she quit 15 minutes after it was taken.
Poor girl.
Another girl probably wasn't good enough to make the team, but we had we had 13 or something like that. So I guess sort of in order to do myself a favor, like, okay, I didn't want to keep that many, but we were going to have to share a lot of kids with
JV and varsity. Yep.
So, okay, I guess it makes sense to keep all those kids, for goodness sake. So anyway,
so you don't have to cut anybody.
A couple girls probably should have been cut. The one girl hurt her foot right before the season started or whatever, and she was not. And so she was like, what do you think about being a manager instead?
Yes. Adam. If anybody knows about being the team manager, it's Adam.
I talked to her about it. I was like, I was a manager in high school, and it's really great. And
you're part of the team still.
And you're
in the team picture.
She was all about that. She had a uniform on for the team picture. And we decided after that. But anyway, because we were getting she was supposedly going to the doctor and physical therapy, but we weren't getting any proof of that or any information about that, or it was always kind of like, oh, well, I'm close, but I got to take another couple weeks. Yeah. It was kind of a thing there that we weren't sure about. So anyway, those two dropped off. I still had 11 or something like that. So yes, in my first year as a head coach, I did not have to cut. I was part of cuts as an assistant before that, but yeah, as a head coach.
But you could just sit back and just let the head coach do all the cuts at that point in time.
Yeah, I was in there. I was in there with them.
You guys are face to face with the kid. That's something that would be very difficult for me.
Yeah.
When I cut somebody, I call the parent.
Yeah.
When someone makes the team, I ask for the kid.
Oh, I got you. That's nice. Yeah.
So the parent answers, and I go, yes, is Jonathan Jehoshaphat available, please? And they're like, oh, let me go get him. And then they go get him. And, hey, man, this is Coach Chris. Just wanted to let you know, man, that if you want to play for me, man, I'd like to offer you a spot on my team. Don't have to answer right now, but if you vote, and they're, yeah, okay. Normally that's how it goes.
Have you ever had a kid say, let me think about it. Let me sleep on it?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so.
Although there are kids, I mean, like that kid that tried out for me, I mean, he had to tell that other coach, hey man, I went off for a couple different teams. Like, I'll let you know. Okay. So that's tough. And there are some coaches that will straight up say, hey, I'm gonna offer you a spot on the team. Do you want to play? And if they say, well, we've got a couple other tryouts we're going to, I know coaches, I'll go, all right, well, I'm just going to let you know we're going to rescind our offer. Good luck with the rest of your tryouts.
Oh,
and take it away. Like, I'm not your backup plan.
Sure.
So, and I get that, I get it. I can't be that cutthroat, dude. I'm too.
Yeah. I don't think
you know what? Somebody has said that to me. Last year, I had a kid tell me, I offered a kid a spot, and I didn't talk to the kid. So if it's somebody new that's not part of my old team, then I'll call the parent and let them know. And let the parent know. And they said, well, we have another tryout that we're going to tomorrow. Can we let you know? And of course. Well, they didn't tell anybody for another couple days after their tryout what was going on. So I'm in La La Land over here, and I got another kid who was on my team that I called that dad, and I was like, look, man, I'm just going to let you know. This is what it is. I got an offer out there. If he accepts it, he's not going to make the team. If they don't accept it, then he's on the team. And the kid called me back. The mom texted me and said, I think I texted her and I said, hey, just, checking in, see if you had heard anything. He said, yes, made the team and he's made the decision to go with the West Stars.
Okay.
So I immediately wrote back, congratulations. I'm happy for him. I think you made the wrong decision, but,
Did you?
and I put LOL, seriously, congratulations. Good luck. And she laughed and said, okay. We proceeded to beat that team 18-0 when we played them.
Yeah.
What? That's a little, but they're a good team. We just got them on a bad day.
Sure.
18-0 though. They are a good team, but they are.
It's a real bad
This
day.
dude is, so this kid, I thought he was coming to this trial today too. Got a text from his mom. She's like, hey, I just want to register for Wednesday. And I gave her the link to do it, told her I'll do everything. And I had the messages, like when it kept popped up, I didn't have a number saved, but I had other messages because I don't ever delete my texts. So I scroll up and I was like, this is my dude right here. All right, let's see if this thing comes back. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Never showed up to tryouts today. He already accepted a spot on another team, not even that team.
Oh, wow.
Never even came to ours, just took the spot from the other team, and that was the end of it.
Wow. All right.
Yep. So I have had that happen to me.
So this week, when you have to make cuts, is your least favorite week.
Least favorite. Tomorrow will be my least favorite day of the year.
That's when you really have to. So have you had to make any cuts?
I've only called one person. It was the guy who needed an answer to tell the other team.
Okay.
That's the only person I've called to talk to. I've not talked to any of the other. There's probably 12 to 15 phone calls I'll have to make.
12 to 15 cuts or that's a lot of kids.
There was 23 kids that tried out. Plus 3 more kids. Oh, maybe it's not that. Yeah, probably pretty close to that. Plus 3 of my kids that weren't able to be at tryouts. So that's, what is that, 26 minus 12 is 14 kids.
Let me ask you this. What have you had parents when you call and you said when you cut, you talk to the parent? Have you had parents try to argue for it, try to argue their kid?
Yeah, my favorite one. This happened to me. So 8 years old. Okay, so this is 2 baseball seasons ago, and these people may even watch the pod. They probably listen to the podcast, but they know who they are.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, appreciate it. Never throw any names out or anything either. So I call my man, right? And I'm like, hey man, I just let you know. I mean, at this point in time, I wasn't even involved with the tryout at 8 because Parker had to make the team before they would offer me the spot to be the coach, right? I'd already done coaches interviews, but Parker has to make the team before they'll select that first coach for the first year. Look out for that net. It'll get right in your eye. So first tryout's over and they had 2 tryouts for that 8U team. They walk over to me and they just take the papers and they go, it's your job. He's one of the top ones. This is easy. Here you go. And they slap it down on me. So I was like, all right. And I got these sheets, right? And then the next day they're like, just stand back there and, kind of keep an eye on what's out there. Well, this kid wasn't at the second day. He was only at the first day. So I never saw the kid do anything. I just got these papers that other people had written on. So I go through these things and I'm making phone calls because when I cut somebody, I want to tell their parents, hey, listen, he did really good in this. He did good at this. He needs to work on this. I'd love to see you back. Mm-hmm. So said whatever all that was. Dad says, man, I really appreciate it. Thank you. And appreciate it. And we'll definitely give it a try next year. Hang up the phone. 15 minutes later, my phone rings. And I'm like, answer it. It's that guy. Hey man, real tired because of football earlier and this, that, and the other. And I think he's better than a lot of the kids that you're going to end up keeping. I think he really deserves a second chance. Tryout.
I remember this.
Already happened, bro. I mean, like I've already called the kids that made the team. It's not going to happen. Called me again 20 minutes after that. I really think that we need to do a special tryout so you can really see him again. What is going on in my life right now? This dude. So tell me what you think when that happens, right? Because in my mind, I'm like, Dad was like, well, sorry, bud. You know what it is? And somebody else came back and said, oh, no, you going to call that man and tell him, get my baby boy on that team. That's how I took it.
Okay.
You know, that's how I took it. Tell me I'm wrong.
Do you know that family enough to say that's like, is there a reason that you? Okay. Thank you
I
for
don't
watching
know.
again.
Anyway, so the point is yes, I've had that happen, and the exact same thing, exact same kid happened the next year too. Year number 2.
Can I ask you, and you don't have to answer this, but did you see the kid? Did the kid play for another team that you saw him play?
West Stars.
Okay. Did you get to see enough of him where you're like, you know what? There might be a kid or two on my team that he could compete with, or he's maybe a little better than, or something at like a different point in the season, later at the end of the season, something like that? Or were you like, nah, I'm pretty comfortable with those?
I was pretty comfortable with my decision.
Okay.
I'll just say I was comfortable with my decision. Not a bad kid. I'm not saying that in any way. Just I felt no, yeah. So anyway, yes, had to have that. Yeah, that's a whole man. That's funny.
That's tough. I mean, it's
It's
putting a
hard.
lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure on 9-year-olds, man. There's a lot of pressure put on these 9-year-olds. I asked a kid to be on the team today, and he played for a different team, and he came to our tryout, and the team he was playing for was in Lakota, and he's in this district over here, and it's super a lot of traveling, but he's known those families for years, and he's like, the kid was in. I offered him a spot right away. He's a stud. Kid's a great ball player, and I was like, you don't even have to come tomorrow. Just take your time, think about it, what you want to do. And you know, he had a really struggle, and he had to make a grown-up decision at the age of 9 or 10 years old, right? Like he had to make a decision to leave a family and go to a new family. That's the way I call it, right? It's like the baseball family. You guys have your basketball family, whatever you want to call it. That's a big time decision that dude's got to make. And I felt really bad for the kid. Like they called and they're like, listen, he wants to do it. It's a very difficult decision for him. He's going to play for you. We appreciate blah, 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 blah. And my first reaction is, how is he? Is he okay? Like, how's my man doing? Like, this is a difficult, like, that's difficult, man. That'd be tough. That'd be tough for me.
Yeah. I mean, and there's pressure on the kids, on the parents, on the coaches. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah. And it's with tryouts alone. And then once you get into the season, sure, the pressure of making the team is off, or dealing with being cut from a team is off at that point. But now you have every day, you have the pressure of trying to perform and trying to get into the lineup.
And that's what we I mean, we put you want a little pressure on them while they're playing. I know they're 9 and 10 years old, and all you people out there with, pushing kids too hard. I'm as easy going a homie as you could be. Like, these kids have a blast when they play ball for me.
Yeah.
I hope they do, and I think they do. Mm-hmm. I've been told they do. I've never had a kid want to leave my team ever. No kid has ever just left that and want to play for somebody different.
Speaks volumes.
So I'm not that crazy, yelling, screaming maniac, right? They're 9 and 10 years old. We develop, we figure it out, have fun. No, it's they're still kids, man, and you can't. I don't know where that balance point is, but trying to find that balance point is very difficult.
Sure. Yeah. I
was going to talk about something different when I started that, but I fell off into a wormhole.
No, that's okay. That's all right. Look, there's you mentioned it when we were talking the other day. We could turn this into a coaching podcast.
100%. There's another reason why we want to talk about this. Well, first off, what is your least favorite day or two or week of the year?
Are we talking basketball?
Anything. This is my least favorite in all realms of the world. This is my least favorite thing.
You know what? I would say probably sometime in July or August, because I hate the heat.
Just any random hot days.
I don't like the summer. I'm not a summer guy. Everybody's a summer guy. I'm not a summer guy.
Adam wants it to be cold outside, be in the gym.
I don't want it to be cold. I like spring and fall.
Yeah.
And then winter is basketball season. So that's where, I don't know, man. The summer, I just the sun bakes me, it broils me, it burns me, and it's when it's hot and humid, I'm just miserable. I'm like, I don't want to go outside in that. Are you kidding me? The bugs are real bad, and I get eaten up all the time. It's tough. It's tough. But there's still plenty of great things. And
absolutely, sure.
It's not the end of the world, but Yeah.
There you
I don't
go.
know, maybe it's summertime.
So here's my next coaching question. So I coach baseball. I love baseball. It's only little kids, and you coach. What are they?
Kids.
They're teenagers. You coach teenagers in basketball, but you also coach grown adults, grown men that have graduated from college that are D1 athletes. And you are a head coach in, what is it, the Smith League?
It's the Smith League.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got Xavier graduates on your team, former star players on the team in there. You're playing against current D1 players. You're coaching in a very, very competitive, maybe not a competitive, yeah. I don't know how the actual league is, how the play is, but with very, very high talent players in the league.
Yeah. They're so talented, and it's a summer league with no real nothing really on the line. So it is a style of basketball that I'm not a fan of, but it's the style of basketball that you're going to see in most leagues like that. And it's a lot of one-on-one. I'm going real hard to the basket, and I'm doing I'm going hard. I'm doing a slow down big Euro step or a big jump through, swing through sort of deal. I'm doing a super fancy layup to try to get the ball, and then if you miss it, you're going to complain about getting fouled. If you get the foul called on you, you're going to be like, how could you ever call a foul on me? There's no chance I could ever touch a person. And, it's just not a super great. And so that's the thing. And you're right. I was asked to do this, and I was,
listen, you're a really good basketball coach, right? And people know that you have a very good basketball mind. So they asked you to do this.
I don't know if that was the case, because this guy, that my friend that plays on the team, who kind of organized this team, knows everybody in this area basketball wise. And he knows so many people that would be way more qualified than I am to coach people at this level. But for whatever reason, he texted me one day and he's like, hey, I'm going to put your name down for our coach for this league. And I thought he meant, I know I've told you this before, I thought he meant just using my name, just to put a name down just for a coach or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, okay, a billion people, I don't know why you're using my name, but totally fine. I don't care. And then a few weeks before the season starts, he's like, hey, here's the schedule. We play on Saturdays. It's always Saturday or Sunday. And I'm like, oh, you want me to show up? Really? Like, I need to be there? He's like, yeah, everybody's supposed to have a coach on the bench. Okay. Are you sure? Because I
coach freshman high school girls, and you want me to come out and coach a bunch of D1 college athletes? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, super nervous. I have no self-esteem or anything like that. So I'm like, I'm already way out of my league here. These guys are gonna look at me before they even know me and say, who's this goofball who's never done anything?
Who's this little Mick Cronin?
I'm never
this little Travis. No, I don't mean it like that's the way you coach. I mean it like small. Who's this little Travis Steele, tiny little human being that never played?
Right. So I'm like, already in my head about that. But and I talked to my friend. I kind of told him that a little bit. He's like, nah, I mean, I'll make sure. Yeah, I'll make sure we kind of, I keep an eye on people. And so, and let me just say, everybody's been great. Even the few times I've spoken up about anything, I've gotten head nods, I've gotten agreements. At least people have acknowledged that I'm speaking for the most of the time.
Yeah.
And nobody's really said, I've gotten yelled at like maybe twice, but mostly people have been, just if I say something like, I think we need to do this or this, head nods or okay or yeah.
They see it too. They may or may not do it, but they recognize the basketball IQ. How's that?
And I'm making it a point to not try to overcoach, because that's really where I'm out of my element. I'm not a great X's and O's guy. I'm really not. But and that's not being. I'm not trying to be self-deprecating. I have my strengths and weaknesses as a coach. X's and O's, making adjustments on the fly. That's not one of my strengths. I have other things that I think I do okay, but that's not one of them, especially in a higher level where these guys played under Mick Cronin, played under Travis Steele, played under Chris Mack. I'm not going to give them the same coaching or have the same basketball IQ or the same basketball mind that some of these other guys have had. So, but it's basic, simple stuff that I think is all you really need for a league like that, because you roll the ball out and go play. These guys have all played at a high level. They know what works. They have had really high level coaching. So they've heard all the fundamental stuff. They've heard all the, the detail stuff, you need to contest every shot. You need to close out well. You need to do, the stuff like that.
Sure.
Move the ball well, move yourself and move the ball. It just simple stuff like that. Not drawing up plays or anything, although I should have called a timeout and drawn up a play at the end of the last game that we ended up losing at the end. And I had one even in my mind. I'm like, I should call a timeout and run this play that we run on my team, and I think it might work. Didn't call it because I was too
afraid
to take control.
Too afraid to take control. Did you think they would like go, what are you doing, dude? This is us, man. We're gonna run that. We got this. Or because there's a lot of coaches that'll let teams like, all right, you're down by 1, 20 seconds left, go get them, boys, and not call it. For instance, we talked about this on the podcast with Coach Cal, how I don't understand in that tournament. I get you want the kids to make decisions and try to figure things out on the fly, but when there is 30 seconds in a game and you're down by 1 or 2 and you need a basket, how are you not calling it one of your 2 timeouts you have available?
Yeah, especially when 4 of your 5 guys on the floor are always freshmen on the team. But anyway, and as a matter of fact, one of the guys that was supposed to be on our team who showed up for the first time last week played in the G League, and I think had a cup of coffee with somebody in the NBA this past year.
Oh, wow.
And won a national championship 2 years ago with Baylor. So he was on our team. He went nuts and had, he might've had 25, 26 or something like that. And that was his first week with us. But so end of the game, we're down 4. We have a side out of bounds in front of our bench. That was when I thought, we were winning by 10 or 12 the whole game until the fourth quarter. They came back. So anyway, then we're down 4. There's 30 seconds or 20 seconds left or something like that. We need a basket. And I could run this play that we have that's mostly for the end of games if we need a 3 and a side out of bounds play. And that guy just sort of posted up right in front of the ball. They got it to him. Everybody knows he needs to take a 3, so they play way out. He had to take a really tough, fadeaway 3 from right in front of me, 25 feet from the basket. Anyway, we ended up losing that game, and I'm like, God, man, I got to speak up. I got to just don't worry about making anybody
egos and all that stuff.
Don't worry about looking like a fool. If they look at me
if they look at you and say, no, we ain't doing that, and say something to you, then you go, all right, go ahead. And then that probably happens and they lose. And then you are you look better. Sometimes you got to prove yourself.
Yeah. So, and then there's a guy on the team that played Division I and apparently was pretty good. I wasn't aware of him in college, but apparently he was pretty decent, and he plays a lot, and he expects to play a lot on this team, and he will not play hard. He's going to stand. He's going to walk down the floor, stand on the wing at the 3-point line. If the ball gets kicked out to him, he's going to shoot it. That was one time that I spoke up at the end of the game, toward the end of the game, where for the 50th time in a row, he did that. And we have something started on the other side. They threw it to get that eyebrow. So
Dude,
we threw
I just felt it out of nowhere. Look at the size of that.
Whoa.
That is a monster. Anyway.
Man, that's nice. We threw it down in the post. When we throw it in the post, everybody stands there in their one spot on the perimeter and just waits for him to.
He's either going to kick it out or he's going to put up a shot.
And he's not going to kick it out. So he's going to take a really tough shot over a bigger guy, or he's going to have to make a move. He's going to get fouled. He's not going to get the call. Instead, throw it down there, especially on the opposite side, interchange, screen down, screen away, cut to the middle, something.
Yeah.
So that happened. He's standing right in front of me, right in front of our bench. Ball gets knocked out of bounds or something. It's still our ball. I stand up and walk a couple feet out on the court. I said, man, when we throw it down on the opposite side, when we throw it down there, do some screen down or interchange or something. We got to get some movement. We're all standing in one spot. And he's the worst one about that. Everybody does it, but he is the worst about it.
Sure.
And he's been doing it all year. When I say all year, we have 5 games. That was 5 games. That was our 5th game. There's the All-Star break this weekend, and then we have the playoffs starting.
Were you asked to coach in the All-Star break?
Of course not. So I don't even know how they're doing it, how they're deciding. I don't think we're going to have anybody on our team that's in the All-Star game, which is fine. But so anyway, so I've spoken up a few times, and as a matter of fact, at halftime of that game was one of the few times I've said anything to him, because he kind of doesn't acknowledge my existence very much. Everybody else is pretty cool, but he'll catch the ball in the 3-point line and turn, and he's a big, strong guy. He'll turn and back somebody down from the 3-point line all the way to the basket. He turns it over a lot of the time, or he'll take a really tough shot and complain about and miss it and complain about not getting a foul call. That happened all game. So at halftime, I'm like, hey man, I stood there and like kind of circled near where he was sitting the whole halftime, contemplating on whether to say something. And he's having a conversation with people in the stands and stuff like that. But so I'm kind of waiting and like, okay, come on, work up the nerve. And so finally I did. I was like, I sat down next to him. I'm like, hey man, maybe instead of backing down from all the way out on the perimeter, go down and establish position in the post. Get the ball in the post, so you don't have to back all the way down, so you don't have to make a move, so you're not getting fouled. And I framed it that way. I know they're not calling anything, so you're getting fouled all the way down. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that. Just get it, make your move and go up. He looked at me. Yeah. Never did it once. But and stood on the perimeter, one spot the whole game. I've resigned to the fact that that's going to happen. There's nothing I can do. And for the whole team, there's not much movement. Every single time, Chris, we have gotten somebody cut through the lane or get the ball inside the 3-point line and then make 2 more passes. We've gotten great wide open shots and scored, or gotten great wide open shots and missed, but gotten great wide open shots. Yeah. It's real easy when you, and I, every time out, whether they took one or we took one, guys, every time we come down, throw one pass to a guy and he takes a dribble step back or sidestep 3 with a guy in his face, it's not going in. 2 games ago, this old man walks up to me at halftime and he goes, you guys are 3 for 17 from the 3-point line. Like, what do you want me to do about it? Pretty good fan there if you're keeping track of that, but thank you. I said, I agree. We shouldn't be doing that. And I've said that. So there's not a whole lot of execution for any time I've spoken up, but I've spoken up in a little bit here and there in timeouts in between quarters and stuff. But for the most part, I think the right thing to do in that league is to not try to overcoach, we're not setting up plays.
It's summer league. Those guys are out there just getting shots up and just running up and down, staying in shape.
But early on, the substitution thing started already. I'm like, so it's 4 10-minute quarters. And I'm like, okay, we had 8 guys for most of the games. Like, let's do
I had one left. Nope, those are yours.
Okay.
Nope.
So I go 5 minutes. We'll just sub who's ever on the bench. We'll decide who stays in the game. And then we'll just, the next time those guys will come out. Next 3. 2 games in, guy that I know I like a lot, one of the best point guards I've ever been around. He comes off. He's like, man, we got to figure out this substitution stuff or something. We got to figure out these lineups. Like, what do you want to do, man? Everybody wants to play. How do you want to do it? I'm listening. So from then on, we didn't do the 5-minute thing. We let guys play a little bit longer, and then just kind of, we still have 3 guys get up off the bench, but a little bit more often it's like, and they've been pretty decent about coming out of the game, especially guys, because we've had to have subs a lot. If you're there as a sub, you're not actually on the team, you didn't pay to be in this league. Those guys have been pretty good about coming out of the game a little bit more often. But we have this guy that I think did pay and is on the team, is supposed to be on the team, and he's not giving us much. And as a matter of fact, he's hurting us at sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but he paid. He's supposed to be on the team. Do I put 2 or 3 other guys?
Can I just pay to get on one of these teams?
Well, no. I mean, you have to know the guy. Like the guys get the teams together. Like I'm calling you because I know you and we've all
So
played.
can I start calling some people and get a team togetherness and pay?
Maybe. Probably. It's $1,000 a team.
That's it.
Mhm.
Oh, that ain't
$1,000
nothing.
team. Five games is all you get. But and then a tournament game at least. But
So we just go out there and get our heads kicked in.
Mhm.
Oh,
I think you could.
I think you think we could score. Do you think we could score?
I think we could throw up enough prayers that something goes in.
Could we move around enough that we could maybe get an open shot?
We'd be the only team that actually tries to create some offense by moving. We'd be the only team.
See, we're too small though. We can't just chuck up threes because they'd all get blocked.
Well, I mean, they'd let us have some.
I don't know.
Because it doesn't look like we're going to make many.
I don't know. I think it would be more of I got an opportunity to block this three and get a breakaway dunk.
I don't know. Because, there are only a couple guys in that league that really care about playing defense. So,
are they on the same team? I feel like those guys band together as brothers. Is there a team out there that's better than everybody else just because they play better defense?
I don't think so.
No?
I'm not sure. I didn't check the standings this last week. But I don't think there's a team that's dominating everybody.
All right. So there's a tournament game coming up. You guys are getting ready to play in the tournament. Were you excited about it? Do you got a game plan? Do you have, have you started working out some rotations? What's going on?
Well, I can't work out rotations because I never know who's going to be there.
Okay.
Because we can't get guys to commit every week. We've had a different team. We've had 4 guys, 4 of the same guys pretty much every game. And then everybody else, the next 3 or 4 guys are all subs. They're coming at the very last second. I started the first 4 weeks. I called my buddy the day before or whatever. I'm like, all right, who do we have? Who we got going? How are we going to do lineups? We got to, because I wanted to talk to him about who we're going to play specifically at the end of a close game.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore because we don't know who's going to show up until the day. So don't know about that. But I did, I was told as I was leaving the last game that a guy who was a big basketball guy, played at X, I think a long time ago. He's been around this city in basketball for a long time. Smart guy. I don't know him personally, but I know of him for a long time. He actually used to play in one of the big summer leagues around here for years. Anyway, I'm told he's going to be helping out.
He's going to help out.
Or I'm going to be helping him out.
Yeah, he's gonna come down to help you. You know what? Maybe he comes down, sits next to you, and goes, "What's the issue? What are they not listening to? What do you think's going on?" And maybe you say, "Dude, we stand around. We don't move the ball. We be bad. This dude does this. This dude does that." And he steps up and goes, "Hey," and he becomes the get your head on straight guy because he's 6 foot
and he's OG and everybody knows him.
Everybody knows the OG. Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, I think it'll help. I do think it'll help. And I have no problem with it. If it'll help us in any way, I'll sit at the end of the bench if you want me to. I'll do whatever.
I'll keep the book.
I'll keep the book. They need help at the scorer's table, pal, because they don't even have the score on the board, right? A lot of times.
Oh, that would annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah. God bless the people. He's this guy that runs the thing. He played at Purcell Marion and then played at a smaller college, I think in Ohio. He's in his 20s and he put this thing and I think it started last year or the year before, and he has grown this thing huge. He's got guys from the NBA, the G League coming in here and playing.
D1 players from around the city.
D1 players.
Xavier, you see.
Yep. And all the best players from around here play in this league. And he did a great job. He's got all this sponsorship. He's got help to do everything. which is great. That's really hard to find. But I guess the people that he's got running the score clock just don't have any experience or something. Because boy, you got to really, the first couple games, I'm like, I'm not really paying close attention when we score great. Now I'm looking at defense, hustle down the floor, and then a couple of times some of the players are like, we got 58. It says 52. What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm like, now I got to watch the scoreboard every time we score and figure out. So anyway, but overall they do a nice job and all that good stuff. And boy,
So you're getting overtaken is what it is.
I can't look at it that way because I'm the one that's sheepish and allowing myself to
this
be
is big time
intimidated.
And yeah, well, I mean, it's understandable. You're coming up there with some guys that I would be intimidated.
I really shouldn't.
And I don't know all the terminology that you know. Like, basketball way better than anything I could do.
Well,
it's like, hey, Chris, go to Mississippi State and be the head coach, or let's go to LSU and go be the coach for a few games for these D1 players, or go to a minor league game where all these guys from all over, some Major League Baseball players, some D1 athletes, all these guys, and you go coach them. I like baseball and I know a lot of baseball, but that might be out of my league at that point, bud.
I don't know. You know what? It's got me all in my head about stuff, and worried about things and worried about how they're going to react to me and stuff like that. And being brave enough to speak up and that kind of thing. It's good for me to be in that situation, whether I do it or not. It's good for me to be in that situation and kind of feel like I got to do it. I got to do it. At least be talking to myself about it. And every time I do speak up a little bit about something, it's another little step forward. So that's good for me. And it's also fun. It's also, even when we lose and stuff, now I did start feeling like a little nauseous at the end of the last game because I think letting stress get to me a little bit too much, and I had nothing to eat that day, which was dumb.
And it's a Smith League where all your players are like, whatever, let's just go out and do this thing.
Yeah. But I care about it enough that I'm getting frustrated when guys aren't.
You care about it more than the players care about it. It's basketball.
Like case,
when you walk out on the court, you expect everyone to give their all, just like you would if you walked out on a court.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know, but it has been fun. It has been fun, and it's been a cool experience, and I'm very thankful that still don't know why he gave me that opportunity, and I feel like I've mostly failed him, but it's very cool that he thought of me to do that. I don't, maybe he was like, he won't say a word. This will be fine. We'll just have a body to sit there because I know he's not going to say it. Maybe that's why I did it. But yeah, I'm part of a team. So if you're standing around, quit standing around. You know better than that. You know how it works. You also watch the Golden State Warriors. They don't stand around.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's been fun.
There you go. Adam is man, I hope that the coaching decision to bring on an assistant for you works out.
I don't think he's not an assistant, really. He's just going to be another guy that's, like you said, I think hopefully going to be more vocal and not worried about what anybody thinks. And he probably knows some of these guys personally.
Sure.
So it's going to be easier for him to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's been cool. I mean, there's some incredible athletes there, man. Incredible athletes. And I met some cool guys. The one guy was even nice enough he showed up during the first quarter of our game, so I didn't meet him or anything. This last game, the guy that played at Baylor and played locally, played at Baylor, and then he's in the G League. He's in the G League now, I think. But anyway, and so he showed up, and I didn't realize that was him. I don't recognize faces because I don't follow college basketball enough anymore. But once somebody said his name, I'm like, oh, okay, I know who that is.
Yeah.
So then he sat there for a while on the bench. And I'm like, he just showed up. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not just gonna throw this guy in here.
So then my buddy's like, there was a timeout or in between quarters. Somebody's like, we gotta get Maceo in. I'm like, it doesn't matter. We gotta get him in. I'm like, okay, fine. He showed up. He's sitting at the end of the bench. He was late. I don't know him. once he said his name, I know him and I know who
Yeah.
he is. So anyway, so he got in and played pretty well. But
Good to you.
but anyway,
He's
yeah,
good to you.
at halftime, he came up to me, said, "What's your name?" Adam Maceo. Nice to meet you. I was like, okay, that's cool. That makes me feel like he's not just
Yeah.
who's this dumb guy that doesn't say much or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was nice. Everybody's been really nice. The one guy, I feel like maybe he's a little bit cold, but maybe not on purpose.
Sure, might just be who he is. I got a guy, one of my assistant coaches that you look, most people, when I first met him, I was like, I'm not going to get along with this guy in any way, shape, or form. He's just looks like a dude that would ignore you. He's got something to say. He's kind of comes off harsh. Turns out to be one of the absolute nicest guys in the entire world.
Nice. Yeah.
Once you get to know, you know what I mean?
To know somebody.
Get to know somebody.
Yep. That's cool.
What it's all about.
We talked a lot about coaching. I wanted the vacation part. After you guys got done playing, you stayed another few days, another week.
It was good. I mean, we had about half the team. We pretty much hung out at the beach. We went out to dinner a few times. Ocean City is an expensive city. Just tell you that.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Did you have some seafood?
Oh, we had seafood.
I'll bet.
I had quite a bit of dollars worth of seafood.
Okay. What kind of stuff? Anything you try new?
No, I mean everything, man. I eat. There ain't nothing new for me. Mussels, clams. I didn't have any oysters. I like the oysters on the half shell, cold. I love those.
Heroes in a half shell.
Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power. No, I don't think there's anything new. Oh, there is something new I tried. So I love the Alaskan king crab. You got those big giant crab claws, that you get, and you get a claw of crab or whatever. You eat those bad boys. Takes more time to really crack the things open than you actually get meat out of them. But so we went to one place and they're like, all right, yeah, so our big thing is this blue crab, right? We sell these blue crabs. One crab is $4, and we're like, $4 for a crab? Jeez, Pete, let's jump on this.
Oh, is that good?
I mean, that's cheap. So we're like, all right, well, man, this ain't bad. Let's see what we can do. It's an entire crab. Like, they bring it out. It's just the crab. They show you how to peel this thing open, and the guts are in it, and you gotta scrape the guts out and move all this stuff around that you can't eat. And it was different. It was different.
Process your own dead crab.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I had blue crab for the first time.
Blue.
That's what they were. I believe they were called blue crab.
Blueberry flavored.
So I was pretty excited, right? Because I'm like, man, this is, we're in Maryland. We're on the ocean. It's like, this is
fresh.
Cool. Not blueberry at all, actually. But fresh, I'm thinking. So we walk out. And as we walk out, I'm parked by a dumpster. And in the dumpster, it's got an empty box of frozen crabs. It says frozen crabs or something like that. So you never know what you're going to get when you go to some places.
Maybe not as fresh.
Maybe not.
That's why it was $4.
There you go. So anyway, should have known that was without a doubt the cheapest thing that there was, because everything else was crazy.
Did it taste the same as any other crab that you
had? Look, here's my problem. This is my problem. People talk about this all the time. Oh, let's have a chili cook-off. Well, and we did a chili cook-off. Hey, let's do a chili cook-off. Which chili tastes better? I don't know, man. They all taste like chili. I ain't gonna lie to you. There's something wrong with my taste buds. I know when something tastes good, but I can't distinguish this from this. Like if I get crab legs at, Sunoco down the street, or if I get crab legs on the ocean, people are always like, oh my God, they taste so much better fresh. Bro, this tastes exactly the same. Exactly the same. I love it. It's delicious, but it doesn't taste the same. Sushi, they're like, don't get sushi from, man, I eat sushi from all kinds of places. It all tastes exactly the same.
Yeah. All right. But I mean, that's a good thing for you, because then you can get the cheaper stuff.
100%. I'm in. I eat everybody's always like, how was it? I didn't think that was very good. I'm like, I ate every bit. It was delicious. It's good. Has it got enough salt on it? I'm good.
That's the thing.
I just got to have a little salt. I'm good to go. And everything out there is in Old Bay. There's Old Bay everything. They had Old Bay vodka. They had Old Bay.
Isn't that a seasoning?
Yeah. It's a seasoning. It's a specific for seafood. Seasoning for like seafood boils and stuff like that. They had Old Bay chips. My wife is obsessed with Old Bay. We got Old Bay goldfish, Old Bay chips, Old Bay vodka for Bloody Marys, right? Because you got to get that little spice in there for the Bloody Mary.
Okay.
Dude, it's insane. Absolutely insane.
Very nice. Very nice. So you had a good time. You
Yeah, it was
guys,
good.
what was it? How'd you guys do total overall?
We won the very first 2 games, run ruled the first 2 games, and lost the next 4.
Okay.
One of them didn't count. So technically, it was an exhibition game. So I guess technically we were 2 and 3.
And
we came in 4th place.
Out of how many?
7.
Okay. That's not bad. And you incorrectly blamed yourself for those last 4 games.
I feel like that definitely for at least for the second pool game, the third pool game, there's no reason we couldn't have been 3-0 in pool play.
Okay. I mean, at that point, was it the next day that you guys played?
The next day was the tournament.
You know
so the tournament part, I don't blame myself, but the third pool play game. But when you all of a sudden lose 2 games in a row and you walk out on a field and you're down here and you're hot, and then we had to play because we came in, we ended up in third. We ended up third going with a third place seed. We played at 8 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. And when you got to drive a half an hour and you're on vacation, and we try to get to games at 7, an hour beforehand to get warmed up and do all our stuff. Well, I was like, look, y'all, it's 11 or 10, it's 10:30 and we're on the deck, and I'm like, boy, it's time to go to bed. We got to all go to bed. And I was like, I tell you what I'm going to do though. I'm going to give you all half an hour. Nobody needs to be there till 7:30. We'll be all right. We can warm up and do everything we need by 7:30. We don't have to be there at 7. We pulled in. That other team had been out there for a while, dude. They're jumping and running and hitting and everything. They already stretched and tossed. They're done.
Is it a local team?
I think it was a local team for them. I don't know if it was. No, they were from New York, I think, or Buffalo. They're from Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo, New York. And it was, they were the coaches. Oh, you love this. Coaches pants.
Oh.
Or baseball pants.
Oh, okay.
All 4 coaches were in full uniform.
Wow.
9U baseball.
Wow.
All 4 coaches, full uniform.
That's serious. The team from Buffalo?
The team that won it all, the team from Buffalo. And we were just as good as them. If they would have had to face my horse on a good day, it would have been a better game. They probably might have been better than us still, but all those teams had never stolen before that tournament. We stole all year. Bases, right? They had to stand on the base. There's no leadoffs. You just, play baseball. So they go to this tournament and they're all telling me how, man, we've never stolen. We've never done all this. We've been practicing it for 2 weeks before the tournament started, just to get used to it. And it was a track meet. I was so irritated with the way the baseball was played down there. You remember I told you about the running too much? I didn't blow up. I kept my composure and I didn't say anything to anybody until it was that team. It was in that first game. And there's a guy on second base and the catcher pops up. He just stands in the middle and the catcher starts walking at him like, what are you going to do there, dude? And the guy starts going back to second. So he throws it to the pitcher. Next play does the same thing. Catcher walks halfway down, goes. The guy takes a couple steps back towards second. He's like, oh, he's going to second, throws it to the pitcher. This kid takes off to third. That's not baseball. What are you doing? There you go. So they do it 3 times. So the third time, that was the first time. The next 2 were at third. Catcher would stand up. This kid's playing down there. And normally we don't try to throw the ball to third because overthrow, you got to make good throws at this age and make good plays, blah, blah, blah. So before I finish this, we threw 10 people out on the base paths in, 6 games? 10 at the 10 that I kept track of. We might have had more.
Wow.
10 people out on the base paths because that's all they did was run. We haven't thrown 10 people out on the bases in the other 25 games that we played all year, right? Like that's the difference between never doing it and doing it, right? So they were running like crazy. So this kid, they do that and he's dancing at third, whatever. And, he starts creeping back. So the guy throws it to the pitcher, takes off. We throw the ball. It's slightly over the catcher's head, scores. So I walk out. Now it's the 3rd time that somebody's done this. And I walk out and I said, Landon, I said, you walk him back until he touches third and you look at that umpire and call time. I said, if they want to have a track meet, we can have a track meet. But if we want to play baseball, I said, if you want to have a track meet, I'm going to do this every single time. If you want to play baseball, let's play baseball. And the guy's like, oh, we didn't tell him to do that. That was just something he did. And I'm like, it's happened 3 times. And you guys are all clapping, telling me he did good. Like, nobody's told any of these kids they did something wrong. So you doing it on purpose. First base coach who's next to me says that. And I was like, it's just been happening all tournament. It's just ridiculous. We're not playing baseball. We're playing pickle. And I don't want to play. I didn't come here to play pickle. I didn't drive 10 hours to play pickle. I drove 10 hours to play baseball. I'm a little seething at this point, right? Because we've lost a couple games in a row now. I can see my kids getting down because these guys are being stupid. Once again, not baseball. I had the conversation with them. I know what you're going to say. I had the conversation with the kids, but I also want everybody to know, can we just play baseball? So I see the first base coach when they get out of the inning, walk over to the umpire and have a conversation with the umpire. Well, I'm heading over to third base side because I'm the third base coach. So I just walk right behind him the second he's not even 3 feet from the umpire. And I said, all right, what'd I do? Give it to me, Blue, because the umpires loved me. Every umpire came up and told me how amazing and great and every umpire. Nice. So he comes over to me and he's like, he told me that I shouldn't be allowed to call time every single play. If you ask for time, I don't have to call time every play. And I said, if my kid looks at you and calls time, you will give him time. And he looked at me and he goes, it's a judgment if I want to or not. And I'm going to give it to you every time. And I was like, thank you, because this isn't baseball. And I walked around and I know that guy heard me. And it's like, what are you serious? You're going to tell that guy? So now that tells me that you really are trying to just run as much as you can.
Yeah. If you're in a position where your catcher has to walk back a kid every time he's on third base and then call time to stop the play.
Yeah.
Then you're forced to call time every time.
I have to.
And the umpire is forced to give it to you every time.
Yes. Yeah.
Because then, especially if there's more than one kid on base, they're just going to keep staying in between the bases and try to wherever the ball is on the infield. If you're trying to get one kid out, which is always probably going to be the lead runner, but the other kid, the kid behind him is probably always going to take the next base. If you get first and third, the kid's messing around on third, that kid's going to go to second. They're always going to be, and your games are going to take 6 hours.
That's why I said we could play here. We could sit here for 3 hours and play 3 innings if you want, or we can play baseball.
Yeah.
So the first 2 games we played that we ruled these teams, the 2 teams played each other, okay, at 4:00. We played one of the teams at 6 and one of the teams at 8. I didn't see their game. We get there because we warm up in the outfield. I'm not watching them. I know that the one team ends up winning by about 7 or 8. And it was a high scoring game. It was like 28-4 or 28-14 in the 3rd inning. And it was like, oh my God, I'm going to shoot myself in the head. So we get in there and this team starts running like crazy. And we throw 2 kids out at 3rd. And I'm like, what is one from the outfield, one stealing? And I'm like, what is going on? And the guy's like, man, we've never played stealing before. We're not really, we're just getting used to this. And I was like, I get it. And they're just running. Balls in the infield. And they're just taking off to another base. And just all kinds of craziness. We beat both of those team run rule because we threw everybody out around the bases. And it's like, I don't understand.
You would think the coaches would be like, they're getting us out by the 2nd inning. Maybe they're
it's not even.
They're throwing us out on the base pass. Stop running.
You're still a baseball coach. You're still a baseball coach. You're a baseball coach, obviously at a decently high level. If you're traveling to a different state to play ball, what are you doing? What is going on? This is insane. I was irritated. I was super irritated at the end of the tournament. I was super irritated because of all that. It was ridiculous. So I had what I ended up doing? I got this pitcher who is super smart. Okay. And he's just a baseball smart kid. I never even told him to do it. I can't even take it. We talked about it one time that next year you might see stuff like this happening. So if there's a pickoff move, you don't have to slide in. You're close enough. Just take your 2 steps, get up to the base. You're not going to be out, right? If you get a good jump back, you're good. So this kid is on the mound and he realizes that they're running. And this kid can tell that I'm irritated, right? He sees me. He sees the rest of the coaches like, this is track meet. We're not playing baseball. We're playing track. We used everything you could have, right? We're irritated. He goes up, steps off the mound to pick kid off at first base, never throws it. Kid dives in, he jumps on the mound, throws a strike. Like immediately throws it. Like just jumps on, comes set, throws it. That kid's not even standing up yet on first base from diving in.
Wow.
And I was like, attaboy. How do we stop him from running? You want to play these games? Guess what? Now we're playing games. And I never said that, but I was like, you know what? Normally I would tell him, dude, come on. It's just, I get what you're trying to do. But after having that whole thing go down, I feel like that was more baseball because I'm trying to stop you from doing something than it was like they were, who's just going all over the place being crazy. I was like, this is great. What happened? Other team, after 3 innings, finally got smart. As soon as he stepped off the rubber to make that play, kid step out of the box. Perfect. Step out of the box. Can't throw it. You're good. Now you got to wait. But it took him a while. And they have a guy on second. He did it every time. He'd go up, step off, kid would dive in, he'd get on the rubber, come set, throw a pitch. Now all of a sudden they ain't running around like crazy people. He doesn't have to look anybody back. He doesn't have to do nothing. It was awesome. It was the greatest thing. It was so great.
While that's happening, though, I imagine the umpire's like, okay, come on. Because if you're stepping out every time in order to make sure
once he did it, once they started stepping out, that's when I looked at Parker. I looked at Charlie and I was like, hey, it's done. It's done. It's there. Go now, just get up and throw. And he just got up and throw. So then it changed. I'm not just going to keep on trying to do it just to that. No, if they get it, okay, they figured it out. You guys did it. I'm just trying to stop you from running all over the world for no reason. So it was more. I had more of that.
That brings something to my mind that I wanted to ask you about, but this is a conversation I think we should have next week about the balk. Just thinking about your kid, kind of for lack of a better term, quick pitching.
So in our league, the pitchers get a warning. Every pitcher gets a warning. Now, if that pitcher balks again, it's balk. In that tournament, there were no warnings. It's the first time I've ever been involved with no warnings for balks. And they give warnings out all the way through like 11 and 12. The umpires are pretty lenient with balks. Unless it's egregious, right? Like you come set, you step up, you step down, and then step off and throw. But I don't know where you're going to get with this. But when he did that, they were trying to say that it was balk because he never came set. They were trying to say that. He was 100% stepping off, look over, get on, pause, and throw. It was quick, but it was pause, throw. And he definitely came set without a doubt. So anyway, go ahead.
In Major League Baseball right now, I feel like I understand the balk rule less than I ever have before, because there are guys that are doing crazy things on the mound right now. And the Reds just won a game on a balk that was like,
I still don't know what he did. Was it his hand? Was it the glove in front?
The glove kind of like waved out
but
or something.
He never came set.
I don't. That's the thing. I'm confused now because you've got guys doing double and triple leg kicks, going back, coming forward, this thing, these things, as part of their wind up delivery, come and set.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm telling you, these guys aren't doing the exact same thing every time. So I don't even think that thing where it used to be like, well, Andy Pettit gets away with balks every single time because that's the way he does it. He does it the same way every single time.
Yeah.
These guys are doing like all kinds of crazy stuff to try to get timing off.
It's insane. I can't stand it. The first guy was a reliever that I remember was a reliever for the Braves, and he'd give you like this 4-time set thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's, dude, you pause. That's it, bro. That's it. You make a move. That's the end. If you make a move after that, it's a balk. Or else you got to deliver the pitch. My son balks all the time. I think he does. He'll come set, and he does that too. And he kind of he does this little bounce thing, right? He'll get here and he'll come set, and he just kind of bounces, gets himself in an athletic stance, and he just kind of bounces for a second, and then he throws. And it's like, oh, yeah. His feet don't come up, his body doesn't move back and forth. Technically, it's probably not a balk. But it's that stuff that happens in the Major League Baseball where you're like, if you pick apart this rule, you could probably talk me out of that being a balk. But what the balk rule was made for, that is a balk.
Sounds like a lot of travel stuff in basketball now too.
Yeah, it's exactly the
Different.
same thing. Yep.
You interpret the rule differently now than you used to. So now
Yep, your
things
gather and
are-
your gather step or whatever they call that thing. There's a lot to it. Or the first step when you catch a ball, how that works.
Okay, so that we got through a very quick. That's good.
Sorry.
We got through a very quick. No, that was great because I was like, it's going to be too long a discussion to have today, but let's do it next week. But we did just get through. I mean,
That
we're
was
on the same page.
The
so
fastest thing we've ever got through
that's
on
fine.
this podcast.
And speaking of that,
Let's do it.
let's get into. Do we do the home run derby real quick?
We might as well
or-
get it. Yeah, let's do the home run
Let's-
derby real quick. Who we got? Who we pick? Let's do it.
So in the home run derby, you have Pete Alonso, you have Kyle Schwarber, you have Ronald Acuna Jr., Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, the rookie from Seattle. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he is. I got him
And-
on my fantasy team.
Nice. And Jose Ramirez.
Foreshadowing.
Um, and you also have the legendary Albert Pujols. So
How many times has Albert Pujols won this? Twice.
I don't know. It's you. If you told me 8, I'd be like, "Yep, you're probably right."
Okay.
Or if
I
you
think it
told
was
me
just
once,
twice.
I'd be like, "Okay." Anyway, let me first say that NBA, please take notice, and this has been the case for a while. The guys that you would want most to be in the home run derby are in the home run derby. The dunk contest, Adam Schmidt's in the dunk contest.
Yep.
You know, LeBron James was never in the dunk contest. The guys that you want to see in the dunk contest are never in it, almost never in it, except for the Zach LaVine, but Aaron Gordon. But man, the guys that I get excited about.
But we never knew that Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine at the time were the best dunkers.
Well, we knew that
we knew they
what
all these
kind of
guys can jump
jumpers?
and leap and do things, but you want superstars in your main events. If you're going to have a main event in a all-star game, you want superstars in it.
I wanted to see Russell Westbrook in the dunk contest for a while. I wanted to see LeBron James in the dunk contest. I wanted to see the best guys who were the most athletic and had the leaping ability and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to see those guys. Will you have some young guys that most people don't know about that are super athletic and 6'10" and
Fly.
8 feet long wingspans and all that kind of stuff? Yeah. But the star power is not there, so people automatically aren't as interested. And then of course the dunks haven't been great for a while. But anyway,
everybody does this. We're running out of dunks. Although some guys have come up with some really creative things the last few years.
yeah, it's just got to get better. But I just said that to say, great job by, it's really the players, because it's up to them whether they want to get in it or not.
Yeah.
But the guys that are the best home run hitters, for the most part, are in this thing. It's exciting. So we just listed who's in it. You have already foreshadowed possibly who you are picking. Who do you take?
I would love to take Albert Pujols in this. Final year, he's retiring. He's back with the Cardinals. I would love to take Albert Pujols.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Alonso he's mastered this. Pete Alonso has mastered it. Vladdy's not in it, is he?
No,
Vladdy.
that's a guy.
Vladdy and Pete Alonso in the last couple of years, what they did on this stage is we'll never see it. I'm not going to say we'll never see it, but that is something that was as impressive as I've ever seen. I love having Juan Soto in this because I think Juan Soto is a guy who's stuck in a small market in Washington. And I say stuck, I don't mean stuck. I'm glad he's there. He is one of the top 3 players in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And has been for 3 or 4 years now.
And by the way, you said players, which absolutely, and not just a home run hitter, one of the best hitters.
One of the best, just pure hitters. If you ever seen the guy take a ball just slightly on the inside corner and do his little Juan Soto dance where he gets real low and like front hops out of the box, like, ooh, that was a really close one. But I love that. I took it. I wasn't sure it was going to be a ball, and then he caught a ball. So thank God, kind of a thing. It's really fun. You never seen it? You ever seen him do that where he takes a pitch and he's like, whoo, and he kind of like dances off to the side?
I'm sure I have.
All right. So anyway, it's hard to go away from Pete Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
The dude's back-to-back champs, like he just goes up there and effortlessly hits bombs
since he came into the league.
Yes,
he was in
it his rookie year, just like Rodriguez this year. So do you take a Rodriguez, the rookie, right? That's too much pressure on him. Like Pete Alonso, there's something special about that dude, and he did it, and he figured it out. He's got a guy who throws to him. He likes the way he throws to him. It's the batting practice pitcher for the Mets, I think.
so.
And just grooves, and he's got what he wants. As I look at those names, though, Acuna Jr.'s in there. And then, Jose Ramirez. See, Jose Ramirez, when he hits bombs, he's got a lot of those looping line drive that go out. He just hits them so hard.
Mm-hmm.
He hits the ball hard, but he's a line drive hitter. I feel the same way for a guy like what's his name for the
Schwarber?
No. Schwarber's in this too, isn't he?
He's in it.
Yeah. For Rodriguez, for the
Julio Rodriguez,
for Rodriguez. So who's the other one? Who am I missing? Who's the only other guy I haven't said yet?
You get Alonso, Pujols, Schwarber, Acuna, Soto, Rodriguez, and Ramirez.
I said them all. Okay. Kyle Schwarber has done this before, and I think he came in second when he did it. Were you gonna take Pete Alonso?
I was between Pete Alonso and Albert Pujols. I'm just gonna go Albert Pujols. He's not gonna win it because this is actually very taxing on these guys.
Yeah,
it's really you see these guys out of breath.
It's 2 minutes of just swing after, and it is not easy to swing 33 ounces of lumber that many times. It is not easy. We played a home run derby and we did 45 seconds with my baseball team. And I made the coaches come out and I brought one of my wood bats, and I was like, they were like, whose bat we going to use? I was like, oh no, big boys, we're taking a wood bat out here.
Nice.
In 45 seconds, about killed some of these grown men.
Sure.
About killed them.
Yeah.
Did I tell you who won that home run derby?
No.
There was a guy that hit one. I think there was somebody that hit one out. And then Coach Chris, he smacked 6 bombs like it was his job.
Yeah. Yes. I pick in that one I picked Coach Chris. And in this
it was 225 feet.
I'm not sure I can hit that far. In my I'm taking Pujols just for the sentimental value of it.
If you're taking Pujols,
unless you wanted him.
Pete Alonso's the easy one. I mean, that's the easy one. I want to give you the easy one. I feel like that's who you wanted. That's why I didn't take it. If you want Pete Alonso, I'm going to go Juan Soto.
Oh, wait, we're betting something on this.
Yeah, we're betting on this. So I'm going to let you have first pick. Because we are going to bet the Reese's, whoever. Oh, go. What?
We should write. You have a piece of paper over there?
Yeah.
We should write our picks down. We should write our picks down and then we show them. If we have the same guy, then we'll figure something out. If not.
All right. Who do you think's going to win? All right. I'm not looking at yours. I already wrote mine down. So we're just are we going to read them at the same time? Are we going to turn them towards the camera?
On the count of 3, say the last name of the guy you picked.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Alonso.
Soto.
Oh, you just took the one I was going to take. I love it. That's so great. All right. I got Pete Alonso. You got Juan Soto. All right. That being said, what is the bet now?
Oh, that's the tough part. Let's see.
I love Juan Soto. I'm going to be rooting for him. I'm not going to lie to you. Me and Parker will be rooting. Actually, he might root for Acuna Jr., but
I'm gonna be rooting for Albert Pujols. But that's the other. I wanted to also ask you about. I know we've talked so much here. I wanted to ask you about.
Screw it, we're only an hour and a half. We go 2 hours.
That's not bad. Actually, yeah, it's not as much as I thought.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are about the the special spot on the I forget the name, what they call it, but Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera were given spots on the roster for the All-Star team.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on that?
That's 100%. I'm in for that.
I don't know why
that's
anybody
the
would be
easiest thing in the world. I'll never forget the greatest All-Star game I can ever remember in my lifetime. It gives me cold chills. Was Cal Ripken Jr. and Tony Gwynn's last. It was their last game, and there's the whole thing with they walk out on the field and he's playing third and A-Rod's playing short, and they run out there and A-Rod runs out to third base.
Yep.
And has him go play short.
Yep. Didn't want to do it.
Nope.
Pushes him out.
Yep. Go. Get over there. Yep. And he makes him play short. And then he gets a Chan-Ho Park. I believe it was Chan-Ho Park. fastball right down the middle and blows it out of the yard.
Mhm.
And it's like, man, like it doesn't get any cooler than that. And they celebrated both Tony Gwynn and Cal Ripken on the field at that time. I want this, every bit of it. I want everything good to come of it because both these guys are awesome. I mean, the other day, Miguel Cabrera at 450 pounds and 97 years old stole third, ball gets away and he walks home.
Dude, I think he's still hitting like 290 or something.
Of course he is. Are you kidding me? You're talking about the last person to ever hit a Triple Crown, the first
Yeah.
person to hit for the Triple Crown in like, which was like 50 years had gone by since Carl Yastrzemski did it.
Yeah.
You're talking about one of the greatest hitters of all time. Miguel Cabrera will go down as one of the top. I think he's one of the top 10 to 15 players. Well, we'll say hitters of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very cool too. I love that part about it. And I was really surprised that Pujols is getting in the home run derby, but really excited. I'm like,
You
man,
know what?
why not? It's your last year. Just
Yeah,
who
go on,
cares?
do it. What
Do
does he care? Yeah, if they want him to, they ask him. He's going to LA. He just got done playing for the Los Angeles Anaheim Angels of Anaheim, California, or however that whole thing
the
goes.
Dodgers, I think, after that, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Short
Then he went
time.
to the Dodgers for a short
Los
time.
Angeles
So it's like,
Dodgers
yeah,
of
these
Anaheim.
people love me, right? They're like, these people love. Well, I'm Albert Pujols. There's nobody that doesn't love Albert Pujols. Even as a Reds fan, I love Albert Pujols.
I love Albert Pujols.
And I'm so stoked for him to do this in a Cardinals uniform. There's going to be a ton of videos from when him and Josh Hamilton were going back and forth with their monster home runs. They're hitting 500 plus foot home runs with ease in that 2000 and whatever year that was home run derby, back when you only had, when it was 10 outs, not 2 minutes or whatever it was in the bonus ball. I love the way they do this, by the way. This is the first time something's changed in baseball, and I'm like, this is the best way to do this.
Yeah.
This is how this should have been done from the beginning. The one change they did make last year that I like is you don't have to wait for the ball to land before you can throw the next pitch. It's get out there, bro. Just start chucking them.
Yep.
Hit as many as you can. Get in a groove and go.
Yeah, I'm with you. So yeah, very cool. Didn't Yadier Molina say that this is his last year too?
I think so. Yeah. Is he in the All-Star game? Yeah, but
He's
sometimes
not.
it did Yachty say that?
I thought he did, and that kind of just made me think, like, if Cabrera and Pujols, I mean,
Yachty would
Yadier
deserve that.
Molina is a
Yeah,
top
but
5 catcher of all time.
That's fine. That's fine. I get that. Top 5 catcher of all time, right? Then you could go, he's one of the top 5 first basemen of all time. Top 5, that could put you in the, that barely puts you in the top 50. You know what I mean? So to me, you're talking about two of the greatest hitters to ever play the game. Without a doubt, the two best hitters in the last 15, 20 years. Sure. They are, for the guys that have played for, in the last couple decades, these dudes are as good, if not better than all of them. Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera with their power. It's just like Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn was was regarded as one of the top 5 straight hitters ever. Mm-hmm. Right? It was Tony Gwynn. It was Pete Rose. It was Ted
Williams.
Ted Williams. You know what I mean? That was the conversation he was in.
And Ted Kluszewski.
And then you talk about the guy who broke who broke a ton of records, right? You got it, Cal Ripken Jr. Those two are different. Yadier Molina is going to go down as one of the greatest at his position. The problem is some of the greatest at his position aren't some of the greatest baseball players of all time, right? There's some, right? Johnny Bench is up. There's guys that were great defensively and offensively, but these guys are just what they do. The hardest part of baseball, hitting. They figured it out better than anybody. I'm fine with it. Yadi. I love Yadier Molina. I hate the Cardinals. You've got to love a guy who can catch for 50 years and keep catching. Like even Johnny Bench played first at the end of his career. You know what I mean? I love it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just wanted
But I'm fine with him not getting that extra special treatment. He's not Albert Pujols. He's not Miguel Cabrera. He's not.
Because those guys are hitters. I mean, and Cabrera spent a lot of time at DH.
Listen, dude, that don't bother me. The hardest thing to do in baseball is hit. There are a ton of guys that are some of the greatest fielders you've ever seen in your life, but that doesn't make them somebody that is going to be like Omar Vizquel, maybe one of the top, maybe the best shortstop to ever play the game. You wouldn't put Omar Vizquel in a special spot just because he might be the greatest shortstop to ever play the game. You have to be able to do it with everything. Yadi could hit for a catcher. He was good, but Yadi's known for being the defensive specialist that he is. And the fact that he could hit helped. But it wasn't like he was hitting 300 or 350 or anything like that. He was hitting 230, 240. But for a catcher, that's insane. That's really good.
It is.
But no, the hardest thing in baseball is hitting. If you are a hitter in baseball, that is what you are the one that will be known. That will put you in history. Hitting is what puts people in history. The greatest players that you think of, Ken Griffey Jr., Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, they could do a lot of things, but they have the greatest hitting stats of all time. Those are the guys that get the special treatment.
Okay. All right.
You disagree, but you don't feel like we have enough time to talk about it on this podcast.
I want to make a case for how much of an impact, maybe more so, on the game that a great catcher has, especially for that long of a time.
You don't have to argue that.
I know that you'll agree with me, but comparing how hard hitting is and how hard it is to be that great of a hitter to how important it is and how much of an impact you have on every single game as a great catcher.
That's an
with
impact.
All the responsibility.
That's an impact in a thing for a team. When you drive baseball as a player, like Miguel Cabrera drove baseball for a while. Albert Pujols drove the sport of baseball for a while. That's different than where Yadier Molina was beloved in St. Louis and everybody knows who he is. And he's known as one of the greatest catcher or one of the greatest catchers, but he didn't drive baseball. He didn't jump in the front of the bus and
is that only because they're marketing those guys because the fringe fan wants to see hits, wants to see home runs? Is it
when you think of the greatest center fielder of all time, I think of Ken Griffey Jr.
Not even close.
Who do you think of?
Eric Davis.
Okay. When you think of, the greatest baseball players of all time, we talk about Hank Aaron. We talk about Babe Ruth. We talk about Willie Mays. We talk about Albert Pujols. We talk about guys like Ken Griffey Jr. You're talking about a select few guys. I mean, Albert Pujols. What Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera did for as long as they did, that's not a normal thing. There are catchers that catch for 15 years. There's catchers that do that. And there's catchers that are really good. Now, Molina's different, right? He got a few World Series rings. He was the leader of the team for a while. That's I get it. That's special, right? That is a very special thing. We have a special thing in Joey Votto. Joey Votto's not going to get, because he played with the Reds for 20 years, he's not going to get an invitation for a special thing because he says he's retiring. That Joey Votto was not that player. Joey Votto is a great player, a phenomenal player, but he's not Albert Pujols and he's not Miguel Cabrera.
Okay.
We can keep doing this, and I'm going to
good.
keep saying the same thing, and
good.
you're going to keep saying the same thing.
No,
So
I'm good.
We've done this a million times on this podcast where we take 25 minutes and we just repeat ourselves.
I want to talk about fantasy football.
I want to talk about fantasy football too. Let's do it.
I want to talk about the Mount Rushmore of fantasy football players.
I love it. So this is as many years as you've been playing fantasy football, which for you is how long?
Probably about 20, maybe a little more.
So are you taking this list based off your personal experience? Or is this based off of some metrics that you have looked up and said, man, this guy scored more points than anybody, and this guy was the best, had the most number one picks in this many years? How are you doing this?
Some weeks I really dive deep into these things and look at numbers and stuff. I love doing that, making lists and all that kind of thing. This felt like, number one, I can't do it based on who I had on my teams because I can't remember from year to year who I had on my teams.
I gotcha.
But knowing how good these guys were fantasy wise, especially now, these are all great players, of course, but fantasy wise, especially early on and like early 2000s, mid 2000s, that's the kind of time that I, especially when I was really first getting into it a lot, was doing 4 teams every year and that kind of thing. The guys that I knew had the biggest impact on fantasy football, that's just kind of, and I didn't really dive super deep into numbers, just guys that I remember being like, these guys on all the lists are number 1 or number 2 for a long period of time.
Yep.
On fantasy power rankings or whatever. Mock drafts. So that's what I did. That's how I did it. How did you do it? Did you do it based on guys?
Mine is there's quite a few that are my guys. Like these are guys, because I've been in the same 5-man keeper. Like there's 5 keepers that we have for, you're keeping a huge part of your team. That's the biggest bulk of your team. It's the best players on your team. So I've been in that since I was 6 to 22 years. Ooh. So that league has been going on for a very long time. So I've got a lot of it based on that, and then based off just obvious things that these guys were known as the greatest of all time. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Do you want to go first? You go first.
Okay, I can go first. My number 1 is Drew Brees, because Drew Brees carried me to some of the greatest fantasy football victories of my entire life and put up numbers like nobody else. Once he got to New Orleans, I picked up Drew Brees. I made a trade. I had Michael Turner. You remember Michael Turner?
I remember the name.
Stud running back for the Falcons. And I didn't have Michael Turner. I had Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. That's who I had. Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Now this is 15 years ago. Aaron Rodgers is, second year. He's a 5th year quarterback or whatever, but a 2nd year starter, right? And he's really good. Drew Brees just gets traded and or maybe it was his last year in San Diego, or just got traded in New Orleans, and put up solid numbers. And I had both of them. And I needed a running back, and I offered a trade, and I had to decide, who am I getting rid of? I wanted Michael Turner. I kept Michael Turner for a good 5 years, and I traded Aaron Rodgers for Michael Turner straight up, and I kept Drew Brees, and it was the greatest thing I ever did, because he outscored Aaron Rodgers every single year. And Aaron Rodgers was a good fantasy quarterback, but he didn't put up the Drew Brees numbers, the yardage and the touchdowns. So that's number 1. Number 2 for me was Marvin Harrison. Again, going back to my personal fantasy, like I had him forever with Peyton Manning, and that dude was like, he caught a million. I mean, apparently he turns out that he's not the greatest guy in the world. Marvin Harrison, a real quiet dude, but apparently he's like, I don't know if he's killed people or what he's got, but apparently this is not the greatest. He's a super thug. I'm sorry, Marvin. Maybe you're not. Maybe I got the story wrong. Anyway, so that's number 2. The next 2 are, they're just the names that you remember forever, like the names that were number 1 or number 1 and 2, literally for as long as they played in the game. And that's Marshall Faulk and LaDainian Tomlinson. They have to be on top. I mean, Adrian Peterson was there for a long time. AP could be spoken in this conversation. Tom Brady, the thing with Tom Brady is he wasn't a fantasy quarterback, like a great fantasy quarterback, until that Randy Moss years, when he started really putting up numbers. I mean, the numbers he's putting up right now, that the records he's breaking, is because he played for so long. Like Drew Brees and Peyton Manning didn't play as long, but they threw the ball like crazy. So their numbers were incredible. Rob Gronkowski, because that position is so tough. Travis Kelce could be in there.
Tony Gonzalez, without a doubt.
Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates changed the way you drafted.
Yeah.
Tight ends were like kickers, right? You just waited until somebody finally picked one up, and you're like, all right, here goes the kicker run. And we're going to grab a kicker. So yeah, I say, for me, because my Drew Brees, Marvin Harrison, that carried me for so long. And then I put Danny Tomlinson, and Marshall Faulk. There's also, another one who was unbelievable for years was Sean Alexander.
Yep.
Cincinnati. Where'd he go?
Boone County.
Boone County. That's what it was. Boone County native.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody you just named are on the list that I wrote down as well.
There you go. Oh, Brett Favre's another one. Brett Favre threw a lot of touchdowns too, and played every time. Was always in the lineup. Never had to worry about it, and would always throw a couple touchdowns. Was another one.
That's true. Yep. So there's the first guy that I did not write down, although I agree with you on that though. I went with, first of all, Drew Brees is on my list.
Nice.
Is on my Mount
All right.
Rushmore. LaDainian Tomlinson is on my Mount
Okay.
Rushmore. Then I went Peyton Manning.
Very well. He should be. He's probably a better fantasy. He probably averaged more fantasy points than Drew Brees, but I guarantee it was pretty dang on close.
Yeah.
But I never had Peyton Manning, so
Sure, and that's totally legit. I think Peyton Manning was my favorite football player pretty much the entire time he was on the Colts, pretty much. I loved that they kind of did similar things on offense just by, throwing the ball way more than anybody else.
right.
And that's why Drew Brees and Peyton Manning were so good
Prolific.
fantasy-wise. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one was really tough. And the guy that I chose, you didn't even mention. So now I'm second guessing myself here.
No, because I already saw who you started, and it's a great pick.
Yeah. Well, I was so close.
I did mention him, by the way. I did mention him. Yeah.
Oh,
I talked about
you
Tom Brady.
You did. You're right. But to say for Tom Brady,
this guy is the reason Tom Brady was such a good fantasy quarterback starting that year. And
before he even got to New England, I think he might be the greatest wide receiver to ever play football.
Jerry Rice that's gonna be hard to take over.
Sure.
Jerry Rice. But when it comes to just flat out route running, flat out just God's gift to being able to catch a ball and run and do the things you do, without a doubt.
Randy Moss is my last pick, and I still struggle. I look at Calvin Johnson.
Calvin was good, dude.
He played on horrible teams, which is why he retired so early.
Yeah.
But that dude is 6'10", 300 pounds of absolute athletic ability.
You know what the funny part of that is we think of these wide receivers and we're like, oh my God, he's got to be 6'10" or 7 foot. That dude's huge. And he's like 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". You know, like that's the biggest. That's an insanely tall, freakishly that you shouldn't be that tall and be an athlete. And every person in the NBA is 6'10" or above now.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got who's the dude that just got drafted by the Thunder from
Chet Holmgren,
who's 7 foot something and looks like you could break him if you blew hard enough on him, yet dribbles like he's like Kevin Durant does, dribbles like they're point guards almost.
That's the thing. I think Kevin Durant did a favor for a lot of guys who are not built with big muscles, because now you have Kevin Durant looked like a skeleton when he came into the league, and he started averaging in his second year. He's averaged 28 points a game or whatever. Yep. So anyway, yeah, I agree with you.
And you just wait for him to get hurt, and he never did. And maybe that's the key to being one of those dudes that's that tall, is not put all the weight on. Although Shaq,
for some reason, for some people it works out better, because you see you guys all the time, like they get healthier when they lose a little bit of weight, or they get healthier and better when they put on a little bit more muscle and stuff like that. Yeah, man. I've got all these guys written down. Mike Vick and Donovan McNabb, Antonio Brown, Priest Holmes was
dude. Priest Holmes was another one of those guys that for 4 years was the best player in football.
Yep.
Fantasy wise.
Terrell Owens. I wrote Antonio Brown down twice. That was dumb. Julio Jones.
Julio Jones. Yeah. Even to this day.
Yeah.
Still, when he plays.
Yeah. Anyway, there it is.
I like it.
We had 2 in common, and that was kind of fun.
That was good.
So
I didn't watch Norm Macdonald, so I apologize for the comedy segment this week. I've had 2 weeks to do it and didn't do it, and I apologize. It is what it is. My daughter had her finger ripped off. Literally, the tip of her finger was ripped off.
It
didn't fall all the way off, but it was hanging by flesh, a little flesh.
I can't feel my toes right now because I don't know. It's just like my body's reaction to feeling like
your toes
just seeing the picture that I saw beforehand and the story that I got.
The picture didn't do it justice to when he cut the nail out.
Yeah. And if I ever saw that, I don't know that I would recover.
I watched somebody take tweezers, holding a nail, and sit it on a table and then pick it up with the tweezers and place. Dude, here you go. Ready? So your cuticle, you know what your cuticle is?
It's the little part at the bottom that I've always got yelled at by girlfriends for not having nice ones or something.
Really? Girls have told you about talk to you about you're a guy who cares? I don't do anything with cuticles.
I don't.
Anyway, so he cut back down in there so he could jam the fingernail back down inside of her finger. It's only and it's useless. It's there as a splint. It's the only reason it's there.
Okay, I am glad she is not in pain right at this very second.
This very second, no. But up until you got here, that little girl right there, I never would have mentioned it. She said, "I just want my hand back. I just want my hand back. My finger hurts. People are gonna laugh at me." She's been screaming and crying about something the entire time. And then all of a sudden, I got home from tryouts, and she's the happiest little girl I've ever seen.
Love it. Love it. Hopefully she got through the worst of it then.
I'm hoping.
Now it's just healing, and she's going to get the cast off in probably 6 to 8 months.
It's not a hard cast. It's soft. So it's just, I mean, all she has is, I mean, it ended up just being, I keep saying sutras because that's what that guy kept saying while he was doing it. Stitches. I mean, he just had stitches. She's just got a bunch of stitches in her finger.
Okay. So I'm going to call your daughter Uncle Fred from now on.
Sounds good. She got hers back though. She got hers sewn back on. I don't even know if she'll ever be able to feel it. I don't have no idea how that works.
That's great. A few weeks ago, I was we were out somewhere. I was out with this was on Father's Day, actually. We had done a couple things. We talked about it on here, I think. We were driving back home from somewhere and kind of going a roundabout way. He's like, "Hey, go through this old neighborhood that I used to." He worked when he was in high school. He worked at a cemetery.
Yep,
in Northside.
Uncle Fred had his. Did you guys find it? I got
no, but almost, because that hill right there is exactly where it happened. I mean, we're driving through the cemetery, and he's like, "That hill right there.
That's where Uncle Fred lost his finger." That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm like, wow. It was like Graceland or something.
Yeah, exactly. I would have walked over there to see if I could find it.
I should have gotten out.
It's his ring. It's his left ring finger too, isn't it? Like he can't wear a ring. I feel like he doesn't have a wedding ring. It's his left ring finger down to like the middle knuckle. Does he wear it on his right? Yeah. I feel like I remember that because I remember thinking, man,
he could wear it on that. He has it up to his first knuckle.
Yeah, but that first knuckle was a monster.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it is on him. I don't know. Anyway,
or maybe the knuckle's not there and it just slide right off. The knuckle holds it, right?
I guess. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I can slide this thing all around until it gets to the knuckle. Once it gets to the knuckle, it's locked. So if he's cut just below the knuckle, that thing's just sliding around.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, my uncle got half of his finger taken off in an accident.
In a graveyard accident.
Yeah. And they had I'm sure it had a proper burial. It probably disintegrated into the ground where all the death there goes.
Yep. And
so perfect.
Dead finger now.
Worked out perfect.
Yep.
Chris, for next week, we need a comedy special.
We've got one.
And
Norm Macdonald. We're doing Norm Macdonald.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. We have Norm Macdonald. We need a Mount Rushmore for next week, which is on me. And it's funny that we were talking about this. So I wrote a few things down, trying to decide here. We started talking about the greatest hitters of all time. And one of my things was greatest hitters, Mount Rushmore hitters. Now, here's the other thing, though. I don't know if I want to do that because there's another one, two other things, one especially that I'm pretty excited about.
Okay.
Mount Rushmore of Michael Jackson songs.
Ooh, man. Four
Michael Jackson songs. Now, there are 150 that are really good. So you got to narrow that down.
There's 150 that are really good. There's 15 that are
phenomenal,
unbelievable. That's what you got to whittle down.
Yeah. I was just trying to embellish.
I know it's not a lie though. I know what my number one is. It is actually the first 45 I ever owned.
Okay.
As a kid, it may be the only 45 I ever owned, to be honest. For all those kids listening, the small album, right? Just it had like 2 songs on each side or something. Not the full album. It was just it was like the original single. Remember when the cassette came out with the single?
Yeah.
And it would have like one song on one side, one song on the back side. you know the 45, right? The little
Mhm.
small album.
Yeah.
That was my I think they were called 45s. Does that sound right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But that very first thing I ever got for myself as a kid was this single.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So I'll throw that. That's
Let's
gonna
do
be my
that.
number one.
Let's do the Mount Rushmore of Michael Jackson. We can do hitters and this other one later on some other time. We're doing Mount Rushmore of Michael Jackson songs for next week, and then we'll have old Mister God rest his soul,
Old Mr. God rest his soul.
and then that'll be it.
You think Mike did that to the kids? Did you watch Neverland?
I mean, we're 2 hours in now.
Did you watch
Neverland?
Did you watch
I
Neverland?
never did.
Never have.
I still haven't.
I watched parts of it and it's pretty gruesome. It's pretty nasty, the stuff that they talk about on there. But then, like, you got this dude. You ever seen Aaron Carter? Who's probably not the guy that you should really be taking any like actual like. Yeah, I shouldn't believe anything he says ever because
Oh.
he looks like a total weirdo.
Yeah, okay.
But apparently, when he was a kid, he'd go over there all the time. He's like, "Yo, dude, we just chilled, man. That's all it was. We just chilled." Like he looks like the kind. He said, "My mom and dad tried to sue him," and I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not doing anything like that. They were just going for a money grab." And he's like, "I was there all the time. We used to ride the 4-wheelers and blah 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 blah."
I bet that's a great time. Yeah. I mean, if he was, there was the interview where he's like, I put him to bed with warm milk or something like that. And it's like,
I mean, nobody's not saying that the dude was a weirdo.
Yeah, he's a pretty weird guy.
I mean, most of the what do you call them? What are they?
Geniuses?
Savants or whatever
Savants,
you
yeah.
want to call it that part of their brain is so in tune that they lose a couple other little parts of their brain. You feel me? So yeah, I mean,
Maybe he had a little
I still want to.
autism or
What's
something
up
like
with that kid? I just want to know with his kids. Like, are they really his? I mean, I don't
blanket, you mean?
Yeah, blanket and
drape over the railing thing guy. And
yeah, that was blanket. Blanket was
Blanket?
the one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he always put stuff over the baby's faces so nobody could ever see their baby, what his babies looked like or whatever. Yeah,
probably
like,
pretty good looking. Because
I've seen pictures of them since like you pull them up. But my question is, neither of them look anything like him. They look like that woman who was their mother, who is just some old big weird white woman.
Really?
Yeah, you don't remember all that?
I don't know who their mom is.
Yeah, the biological mom.
I remember him dating Elvis Presley's daughter.
Yeah, and then they had that weird kiss that nobody really believed. That was on one of the VMAs or something like that. I'm gonna look this up here. Michael Jackson's baby mama. That's got to pull something up, right?
Man, sure.
There you go. Yeah, this is her right here. Here she is with her 2 kids right now. Oh, pull up for me, dude. That's so great.
Thought you were doing a bit. It's just a blank.
No, it is. No, that's her right there. Yeah, that's her now. That's her then. Yeah, she's just a ugly.
That's her now.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't date or anything. It's just the woman he used to have his kids. She had 2 kids for Michael Jackson.
I mean,
But did somebody else knock her up? Because they have not even a touch of African American in them at all.
I was gonna say, if I ever have kids, I'm looking for a former D1 athlete just in case. So why wouldn't he do something like that?
Look at Michael Jackson is an African American guy.
Just kidding.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. No, sorry, I was just thinking about this. And if you and a 100% white woman have a kid, there's usually some mixed race in there, and some of the. That mocha skin. Sometimes you get that blue eye stuff.
He was at the end of his life, he was a white lady too.
He was a white lady at the end of his life. But his kids, I mean, where's his kids at? Yeah, Paris was the one. I mean, yeah, her and then Prince. Yeah, but they're just like, I don't get it. They don't look anything like him.
What does Blanket look like now?
What is Blanket?
Hey,
wasn't that the kid's name?
I think so. Hey Siri, what does Blanket look like now?
Kid Blanket.
Shopping for
Blanket,
blankets.
real name. Michael II. Blanket. his
Michael II
is his real name.
Huh?
Uh
JR.
You want to know what blanket looks like?
Yeah, I do.
Here you go, brother. There's blanket, some long hair, looking good, dude.
Oh my.
Nothing like Michael Jackson.
No, not really. No.
It's just insane to me. Somebody else knocked that girl up, and he just bought the kids.
Maybe Umbrella Academy style.
Yeah.
Anybody's seen Umbrella Academy on Netflix? I don't know. Man, yeah. Michael Jackson was funny, but you know what? He's the subject of our Mount Rushmore for next week.
There you go. Subject of it. All right, sounds good. That's all we got. We're over 2 hours. It's time. What do we got next week? We've got the Norm Macdonald stand-up that I should have done 2 weeks ago, and then we have Michael Jackson, Mount Rushmore, Michael Jackson songs.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, till then, don't forget to turn your headlights on.